Tonight, it is a safety issue for families right here in Columbus.
In the past 2 weeks, 3 people have lost their lives because of gun violence in city parks. And just a few hours ago, Crime Tracker 10's Lacey Crisp asked city leaders what they're doing to keep you and your family safe in our parks.
There were 3 homicides in 13 hours in the city of Columbus. One of those happened in a city park, claiming the life of a 19-year-old. I asked city leaders if they're going to increase patrols in parks to decrease crime.
On a nice spring evening, shots fired in a city park.
They thought they were meeting up to have a fist fight. It turned into a gunfight, and we lost a 19-year-old. And so that's the message. Stop bringing guns to fights.
This is the 3rd time in 2 weeks there's been a homicide in a city park. Just last week, police leaders said city parks are safe despite 2 homicides in city parks in one day.
But what do you have to say to community members who now question whether it's safe to go to a city park on a warm day?
It absolutely is safe. Unfortunately, we're not in the minds of people who use gun violence to solve problems. But I can say over the many parks that we have in the community, most of those had no issues.
We're utilizing on-duty personnel. And so if you've been monitoring radios, you hear officers marking on 558s. That's a park walk and talk, which is going into a park, getting out of your cruiser, walking around.
We wanted to know exactly how many of those park walk and talks have happened this year, so Crime Tracker 10 made a public records request.
I pulled the public records, and of the 407 parks so far this year, there have been 191 558s. Is that enough?
There's never enough, right? We can always do more, but I'll tell you, officers don't always mark up. They're talking to people on a day-to-day basis. We have over 400 parks, so there's no way that every encounter they're going to mark into.
First Assistant Chief LaShawna Potts explains Columbus Police have several programs they will use this summer to protect parks for you and your family.
Given the 3 homicides and several other felonious assaults that have happened or shootings that have happened at or near parks in the last 2 weeks, are you guys reconsidering possibly having a parks patrol?
So we're doing Safe Streets. It'll be in a scaled down version. As we said before, we have officers that are going into the parks.
Other partnerships, we've talked about parks, but specifically downtown on the Scioto Mile, the partnership with Columbus Downtown Development Corporation and other groups throughout the city, additional eyes and ears in our parks.
Mayor Ginther also added the city has checked out every city camera and at parks and rec centers and says they are all working. In Columbus, Lacey Crisp, 10 TV News.
All right, thanks, Lacey. Now, the trends this year haven't matched the record levels of violence we saw in 2021. Compare 408 felony assaults so far this year to 537 at this time last year. And on this day in 2020, it was just 298.